You know, from banking on your phone to sending a private message, cybersecurity is a huge part of our daily lives. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on behind the scenes? What's actually keeping all your digital stuff safe? Well, let's pull back the curtain and find out.
It's a massive question, right? We hear all these scary words: hackers, viruses, data breaches, and it can feel super complicated. But what if I told you that the entire, vast world of information security is really built on top of one simple, really powerful framework?
Seriously, that's it. Whether we're talking about protecting national secrets or just keeping your social media account from being hacked, the fundamental goals are always the same. It all boils down to just three core principles that, once you understand them, unlock this whole subject.
So, the ultimate goal here is digital security. And to get there, cybersecurity professionals use one foundational concept to guide pretty much every single decision they make.
It's called the CIA Triad. And no, not that CIA. This is the bedrock of information security. It's a model that helps create policies for protecting data, and it stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Let's break that down real quick. Confidentiality is pretty simple. It's like a sealed envelope. It makes sure that only the right people can see the information. Integrity is like having a notary public stamp something. It guarantees the data is accurate and nobody has messed with it. And availability? Well, that's like your favorite 24/7 convenience store. It means the systems and data are there for you whenever you need them.
Now, to really understand why this matters, let's look at what happens when this whole triad just falls apart. We're going to walk through a real-world scenario that happened at a healthcare clinic.
So, the whole disaster started with a classic trick, a phishing email. An employee, probably busy, clicked a bad link, and that's it. Just like that, the attacker was on the inside. It was the first domino in a very bad chain reaction. And this is where things went from bad to worse fast. Turns out, the clinic never deactivated an old employee's account, so the hacker had a wide-open door, and the patient data they found, completely unencrypted, just sitting there. At that moment, confidentiality was completely shattered.
And here's the knockout punch. After the attacker had messed with the data, the clinic realized they didn't have any recent backups. They had no way to get back to the original, trustworthy information. So integrity was lost. And without a clean version to restore, availability was gone too. A complete and total failure of the triad.
This whole story really highlights a crucial point. All the best technology in the world can't fix basic mistakes. This clinic hack was basically a perfect storm of no employee training, bad account management, and zero plan for when things went wrong.
Okay, so now that we've seen the problem, let's talk about the solutions. We're going to start with that first pillar, confidentiality. How do we actually keep our data secret? Well, the number one tool for the job is encryption.
Now, encryption basically comes in two main flavors. First, you have symmetric encryption. Think of this like having one key for a safe. It locks it and it unlocks it. It's super fast. The only tricky part is, how do you get that key to the other person securely? Then you have asymmetric encryption. This is really clever. It uses two keys, a public key, which is like an open mail slot that anyone can drop a message into, and a private key that only you have to open the box. It's a bit slower, but way safer for getting a conversation started.
So, how do we get the best of both worlds? You actually see the answer every single day, that little padlock in your browser for HTTPS. Here's the magic trick. It starts the conversation using the slow but safe asymmetric method just to securely agree on a temporary secret key. And once that's done, it switches over to the super fast symmetric method for the rest of your visit. It's a really elegant solution that gives you both security and speed.
All right, so let's move on to our second pillar, integrity. How can we be absolutely sure that a file we downloaded or a message we received hasn't been secretly changed? The answer is a clever one-way process called hashing.
The best way to think about hashing is like creating a unique digital fingerprint for a piece of data. You can feed it a tiny text file or a whole 4K movie, and it will always spit out a unique code of the exact same length. If you change even one single comma in that original file, you get a completely different hash. And, most importantly, it's a one-way street. You can never, ever get the original data back from its fingerprint.
So this is the key takeaway, right here. Encryption is for keeping data secret, and you can reverse it if you have the key. Hashing is for verifying the data is unchanged, and you can't reverse it. It's why any good website doesn't store your actual password. That's a huge risk. Instead, they store its hash.
Of course, hackers are clever too.
They have these things called rainbow tables, which are just gigantic, pre-computed lists of common passwords and their hashes. To beat this, secure systems use something called salting. Before hashing your password, the system adds a unique random string of characters to it. This means that even if 1,000 users choose the password password123, every single one of them will have a completely different hash stored, making those rainbow tables totally useless.
And that brings us to the final piece of our puzzle, availability. Because, let's be honest, it doesn't matter how secret or trustworthy your data is if you can't actually get to it when you need it.
Maintaining availability is really all about planning for failure. This is exactly where our clinic from the case study dropped the ball. They needed regular backups and a real disaster recovery plan. For bigger systems, it also means having backup hardware ready to go, spreading out internet traffic so no one server gets overloaded, and constantly watching out for threats like DDoS attacks that just try to flood a system into oblivion.
So, there we have it, our 3 pillars: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The challenge, though, is that you can't just crank all 3 up to the max. Real-world security is a constant balancing act.
This is honestly one of the most important ideas to grasp. When you strengthen one part of the triad, you often do it at the expense of another. It's all about making careful, deliberate trade-offs based on what you're trying to protect.
Just look at this. Say you go all out on confidentiality. You add tons of complex security steps to log in. Well, you might make it so hard for your actual users to get in that you've damaged availability. On the flip side, if you make a system super available by loosening up the rules, you might risk its integrity because now it's easier for someone to make an unauthorized change. Designing good security is all about finding the right balance for every unique situation.
So the next time you see that little HTTPS padlock, or log in with a password, or trust a file you've downloaded from the cloud, think about the triad. Think about that constant push and pull between keeping things secret, keeping them trustworthy, and keeping them accessible. Because these 3 principles are at work all around you, quietly making our digital world go round.